All right, welcome back, everyone. It is Laughing Games here. I'm back. It is time for another StarCraft 2 1 versus 1 replay cast. It's gonna be time. I was just about to say, totally tangent. It's like it's always a 1v1, but sometimes I do 2v2s, and I'll have to do another 2v2 sometime in the future. Totally botched the intro. It's my own YouTube channel. I don't care. In the bottom right, it's me taking on the machine, fighting for humanity. I'm going to take on probably one of the better StarCraft 2 bots, Negative Zero, in a Protoss versus Protoss. Yeah, so we're on the map Berlingrad. It's nice to have a little bit of consistency playing on the same map, and this actually reminds me a bit of Alpha Star when it first came out. Just Protoss versus Protoss, the only matchup on the one map, and yeah, I thought that it would be fun to do that against Negative Zero. So, I'm playing Protoss. Not my greatest race, but I have been around the block a time or two. I'm pretty sure Negative Zero's not going to cannon rush me, so I think I should be fine. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, before I get too far into this one, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button. Let's go for 3 likes on this video, which I think is the number of times I've played against bots. If we can hit 3 likes, that would be truly fantastic. Join the Discord, which is linked down below, and most importantly, shout it out in the comments down below. Say more bots. More bots. And yeah, so I'm scouting out, just making sure, just getting a sense of what this bot's getting up to. I know I've cast this bot before, I believe, but it's hard to remember every single bot I play against and their behaviors and whatnot, since they're all so distinct. But so I just scout out, poke around a little bit with my probe, send him home. Negative Zero is also scouting me in this game. We've both gone for the common Protoss double gateway opening. I definitely was a little late on mine, so I didn't even remember to wall the top of my ramp. I'm like, oh yeah, it's PvP, you totally want to do that. So I'm a little behind in that regard, but I decided to go for 2 Adepts regardless. I think, alright, Adepts are good at killing Adepts, so even though I don't have the wall, I'll go for that. And then I go for a Stargate. That's my choice of play. I'm thinking, alright, an Oracle can maybe get some work done against this bot. And then Negative Zero also going for 2 Adepts, going for a Robo, if you guys paid attention to the chat tags earlier, saying, toss 1 base aggressive, then saying, I don't blame you for wanting a rematch, just try not to embarrass yourself as bad this time, Puny Human. This is actually our first game. I can't recall, like, if I launched the program before just to test it or not. Cross my heart, hope to die. First game against Negative Zero. I do not have enough pride as a YouTuber to do that thing like, oh yeah, this is totally my first time playing this bot. No, this is literally my first time playing this bot. And so I'm going for an Oracle, multiple Adepts on the way. Adepts against Adepts. Mine actually get blocked by Negative Zero here, so it's showing some pretty advanced behavior. Walling that off, I then have my 2 Adepts engage into this Stalker. It's kind of tough to micro this. I'm trying to get the Adept of Negative Zero, 2 versus 1, and I don't actually get that Adept. I don't even think I realized that during the game. Now there's 1 Adept in my base, but oh, look at this travesty. This is what happens when you don't wall off your high ground. I get an Adept caught behind this gateway, and that is just not what you want. I think that happens to a few Protoss players. Negative Zero putting a tag Void Ray Rush. I'm not sure what that's about, seeing as how I went for an Oracle. Interestingly enough, I guess maybe it's a 1-base Stargate reaction sort of play. I don't know how often Oracles are seen in PvPs. This probe, taking a little bit of heat from that Adept, does not get killed off. I'm trying to chase down this Adept, cue the Benny Hill theme. While this is going on, we see there's a Phoenix on, or a Stargate on the way for Negative Zero. My Oracle's coming on in. It's not really getting too much. There's a shield battery for Negative Zero. I tried to throw down a Stasis Ward, I think, but a probe blocked it. So I just have to get out of there with my Oracle, unfortunately. And then, yeah, I'm waiting for another Oracle, hoping to go in. 2 Oracles, far better than 1. There's a Phoenix on the way for Negative Zero, though. As a response to this, I threw down a Stasis Ward at the natural. I caught that probe, which was good for me. Negative Zero has got out an Immortal, however, with this, and I'm trying to get up my natural base while this is going on, throwing up a Robo, throwing up a Twilight, committing to all the tech. And Negative Zero has got a Phoenix crossing the map. It's got quite a big army here. Lots of Stalkers and an Immortal. Going to be moving out towards its natural to secure that, and then it keeps on moving towards my natural base, going for an attack against me. I realize that that's a real deal Phoenix, as my Oracle gets attacked there, so I send them around. I'm gonna try and go for the mineral line. I've got my Stalkers and my Adepts holding the front door. Although while -0 is barreling towards me, there's no Prism out for -0 actually to reinforce, but there we go. It's on the way. Lots of energy is building up for -0. That's definitely more than it should. It could have done with Chrono boosting out this Warp Prism. The attack is transpiring as this is going on. I try and warp in a Zealot to give me a bit of a buffer, but if you guys look at how many units there are here, I'm in trouble, so I elect to retreat up my ramp. I'm pulling the Oracles back. That's definitely a mistake. I think I got a kill or two. No, I didn't actually get any damage, so I'm totally just floundering here. Elect to forgo my natural, basically, and just start throwing up stasis wards in a panic. I kind of committed to a little bit too much tech here, it looks like. However, I decided to get up an Immortal, and I do decide to throw up a battery at some point here, but there's not a lot I can do to save my Nexus. There's the battery on the way. If you guys just heard it playing, that is Windows saying I am free of viruses, which is always good. I threw up my stasis ward. -0 is kind of avoiding that, it looks like. I've got the Immortal out, which is big for me. And then I'm just trying to hold on here while this is going on. I've got my Oracles that elect to go towards the main base of -0, try and get some damage done. There is, however, a Phoenix working away on this, so I do elect to just try and get as many probe kills as I can. The probes kind of ran to the corner, but the Oracles do get some good work done there. -0, though, elects to push up the ramp while this is going on. I've got my battery overcharge in my pocket, but that is it. There's a lot of enemy Protoss here. There's also a Prism. Those Oracles do go down. They got a good amount of kills. I did not realize how many kills those Oracles got while playing this game. Yeah, so I'm just trying to hold on here. I've got my Immortal out, got my battery healing it up. -0 is being a pain, though, with its Adepts going towards the back of my base while this is going on. I do lose my Immortal here, which is a big blow. My battery was out of energy. I've got another one popping out. I'm just trying to hold on. I'm pretty sure I'm screwed with a capital S at this point in this game, but I'm trying to hold on. I've got my probes pulling. I did not realize I killed as many workers as I could, so this was quite a close game, actually, due to those Oracles. However, I'm down a base. I'm trying to push -0 outside of my... Get out of my house, I say to -0. Get out of my base. It's an Immortal versus Immortal. I've got a Zealot as well, so this is quite an interesting dynamic. You'd only get this playing against a bot. An Immortal perfectly microing to the corner there. However, an Adept being a pain poking towards my base. I've got my Adept still sitting in the mineral line there, and I'm behind on workers. The -0 is on 2 bases. A Phoenix comes in, lifts up my Immortal. That is not good for me. The Phoenix aren't going to kill my Immortal, but it's still not great for me. I decide to try and engage this. It's Immortal versus Immortal, mono against mono. Mine activates the barrier. It's quite an odd engagement here. -0 starts microing away with its basically infinite APM. All the while I'm cruising at a whopping 117 average, which is, yeah, my APM, basically. I'm a pretty low APM player, but that means I get to say APM doesn't mean skill, and so -0, clearly, just riding high on gameplay, riding high on mechanics and strategy, not on APM. When it's clearly out APMing me. Now I've got my 2 Immortals chilling on top of this ramp. I'm just like, all right, I'm very low on workers. I guess I'll just chill in my main, try and build up what I can. I go for a Prism. I'm like, all right, I'll try and micro my Immortals, I guess. I don't know. At some point, I do try and go for an expansion here. Phoenix come on in. Do they lift up one of my Immortals? Yes, they do. It's kind of comical that 2 Phoenix elect to lift up 1 Immortal. They aren't going to get too much done there. Maybe a little bit of hull damage on the guy, but not a lot of work. I try and go for my expansion while this is going on. -0 has produced a much better economy than I. Getting back up to 31 workers from the 8 it was at. So I'm at quite a disadvantage here, so I'm thinking, all right, maybe I can just turtle against this bot and hold on against any attack that comes in. I totally thought I was in a worse position than this while I was playing this out. I'm like, oh man, well, I'm pretty much screwed. I didn't realize that -0 is down to 8 probes while this is going on, but make no mistake, I'm still very behind. I've got barely any minerals to my name, so I kind of just start warping in sentries while this is going on, thinking, all right, maybe I can get some boss force fields, that kind of thing. -0 throws up a 3rd base. I'm just getting up my natural. Charges on the way for the Protoss AI. +1 is on the way as well, and there's actually the Protoss AI moving across the map. In goes -0. I'm microing my Immortals in the Prism. I think that's a little bit of redundant micro there. I'm just trying to push the bot back, do what I can. The Prism's under attack by the Phoenix, however. I'm warping in another Stalker, that's all I can afford. I try and toss down a Force Field to try and catch -0's units, however, there's a Prism to micro those away. I've got the 2 Immortals to the 1, which is good for me. I'm trying to catch these units as well as I can. I commit on out, realizing, alright, it's now or never. That's pretty much all that I can hope for, catching those units, and -0 does do a little bit of derpy micro, unloading those units. I've got 1 Blink Stalker. That was my original plan, to go to Blink before my economy got absolutely demolished. This Stalker was mismicroed, goes down. I have to recall the Immortals, actually, because there's Adepts poking in my base, killing all my workers that have been trying to get up on my natural, really hampering me there. So I'm trying to split my Immortals, deal with an Adept. This is a tough thing to do at this point in the game. My 1 Immortal down here on the ramp is like, uh-oh, that ain't good. I'm warping in all the sentries I can frantically. I'm like, alright, maybe I can hold on. Battery keeps those sentries alive. I toss down a Force Field, catch the Stalker. I figure AI probably doesn't have the best understanding of Force Field, so I'm working away on these units, but my natural base is under fire once more. I've got 2 Immortals, which is pretty decent, but unfortunately Adepts, the Zealots, pretty tanky against this, so I'm trying to poke down the ramp, and then there's the Phoenix as well, causing a lot of grief for me. Then it's just 2 Immortals against this. That ain't enough. I try and target down the Sentry, but then it's 2 Immortals against 2 at this point, and that's not good for me. I get 1 of the Immortals, I'm keeping my boys alive. It's still not a great position for me at all, seeing as how that Nexus just went down. And if you guys check the worker count, it's 53 to 16. So tell me, if you were to check this game, who do you think is winning at this point? I'm staying in it just to sort of test the AI, see how it's doing. If this was a 1v1, I'd have GG'd about a year ago. But I'm thinking, alright, AI, maybe I can just turtle on 1 base, see what happens, you know? You're telling me there's a chance, basically. And, yeah. So there I am, just force fielding my ramp once more. Chilling with my sentries, my boys, my 2 Immortals that have been doing the work. How many kills did these guys get up to? 10 for 1, 9 for the other, so they're doing pretty good. There's -0 being a pain, 1 Adept in the mineral line. This is such a nuisance to deal with. It's like, oh my gosh, on top of everything else, this. Then comes the Phoenix, they lift up my poor Stalker. I do clean it up, but how many probes have I lost this game? 41 workers have gone down. Quite a few in that first attack, but then many more subsequently. I'm tossing down Force Fields, keeping these units out, so I'm holding the ramp there. But you can't stay on 1 base forever. It turns out anyway. So I'm just like, alright, I'll build up sentries. I think at some point I try and afford another Immortal here. Let's see, I got my sentries. I toss down another Force Field, kill off a Stalker, but oh, I lose a sentry. I can't afford to do that. So I warp in another one. And there's not a lot of money going around for this guy. I'm trying to trade out as well as I can, chill with my battery. I pop my Prismatic Overcharge. I realize this is my chance. Fight with the battery, take the best engagement I can, and I do get 1 of the Immortals here. I'm holding on. I'm surviving for now. And then these 2 Phoenix are actually still being a pretty big nuisance for me. Just lifting up the odd probe here and there. My battery is out of juice. If I had managed to invest in 2 batteries, that would have benefited me tremendously. -0 is on +2 attack, so my units are a lot more flimsy. Up comes the Protoss army. I toss down a Force Field, but it's a little bit too late. The 2 Immortals are up, and there's actually no more juice in my batteries, so that's not great for me. I toss down another Force Field, but look at that. Adepts go through Force Fields. I'm trying to deal with an Adept harassment on my 1 base. At 14 minutes into the game, I pull my sentries to do what they can against that. Sentries aren't the best of that. -0 says tag late game. That's how long I've been surviving like a cockroach. I toss down a Force Field. I'm still just trying to hold the ramp. I haven't gone up in supply really for like the past like 10 minutes. I lose 1 of my Immortals. And at this point, I'm pretty much like, I think that's it. GG. Well played, -0. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see a rematch of me against this bot, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and if you want to support this more niche content, consider becoming a YouTube member. Join the Discord, which is linked down below. Send me your bot replays if you're a bot author. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.